In this final episode of Viral Rewind for this year, we are looking at 3 different variants of the Christmas DOS virus. Now, actually, I would be doing 4 variants. However, Christmas 868 does not work. It tends to lock up the system when you try to infect files. It does have a payload that's supposed to be of a Russian Christmas, but again, because of the way the virus behaves during infection and locking up the system, I can't show you that. So the 3 variants that we are going to look at is Christmas 600, Christmas 1539, and Christmas 1694. Now, each of them all have payloads that activate around the 25th of December. Some of them are a little more flexible, and one of them has an additional payload that takes place on another date that we'll save for last. So we'll start with Christmas 600. Now, all these variants infect files, and some of them are polymorphic, some of them are non-memory resident, some are. Since we're doing multiple variants here to keep the video from becoming really long, I'm just going to skip over the infection part of it. We're just going to strictly look at the payloads of these 3 variants. So, let's look at Christmas 600. And just for verification, it is the 25th of December. Now, of course, today is actually more like the 28th that I'm recording this, but we've rolled it back for the 25th. So let's load up Christmas 600. And if you have an infected file that's been infected with Christmas 600 and it runs on the 25th of December, it'll print out this message. It'll print out "Merry Christmas to you" with an exclamation mark. Now, I don't think it's going to have all that extra code showing on there, nor is it going to repeat it like this one is. It's usually supposed to only say it one time. It may be because I'm running the virus directly off of a write-protected floppy disk where it cannot infect any files. But that's all the payload that Christmas 600 does. It just prints out "Merry Christmas to you" when you run an infected file on the 25th of December. So that's Christmas 600 for you. So let's skip ahead to Christmas 1694, because I'm going to save Christmas 1539 for last. So if I run Christmas 1694, now before I run it, what this will do is this payload would take advantage of the timer interrupt. So it's going to activate its payload every so often as the timer runs on the computer, and whenever you run an infected file, this will happen. So let me load it. So it returns us to the prompt, but again, it has hooked into the timer interrupt. So we're going to see here shortly, it's going to play a tune for us. Might have to adjust the computer speaker down if it's too loud. Wait a couple more seconds. And there we go. So by taking advantage of the timer interrupt, this virus is playing a version of Silent Night over the PC internal speaker every so often because of the timer. And we get the little printout that says "Merry Christmas and Happy New Year." Written from Tasumi Oxford College. And when it's done, we're back at the prompt. But again, because it's loaded into memory and it's using the timer interrupt, it's going to repeat that Silent Night payload and message every so often. I guess it's maybe 15, 20 seconds, possibly even 30 seconds. So, as long as this virus is in memory, this payload is going to repeat and stop what you're doing every time it plays. So that is Christmas 1694. See what I mean? It's playing it again now. Oh yeah, and I can tell that it also keeps the keyboard from responding because I can't stop it with the keyboard trying to restart the computer. And of course now Control-Alt-Delete activated. So that is Christmas 1694 for you. So we're going to go ahead and look at Christmas here once I get back into DOS. So we're back into DOS now, and now we're going to look at Christmas 1539. And this time I'm running it off the hard disk in the temp DOS directory with a copy of DOS in there. And again, it is still December 25th. And if I run Christmas 1539 now, and again for any infected file with 1539 that runs on this date, we get a little beep from the internal speaker, and we get this ASCII 2 graphic of a Christmas tree, and with text under it that's written in German, Unter Lipduck nach der Tannenbaum, frohe Weihnachten, which means, when you translate it, it's saying, and it still lives, the Christmas tree, Merry Christmas. So that's what it is translated from German into English. And let's see, does it repeat? Yes, it does. So obviously every time you run an infected program with Christmas 1539, it will always print out this ASCII 2 Christmas tree and German Christmas message under it every time you run an infected program on the 25th of December. Now, remember that I said that one of these viruses contained another payload that activated on another date. Well, Christmas 1539 here has a more evil payload that activates on April's Fool's Day, which is April the 1st. So, let me change this to 4/1/2020. And I'm just going to run it for the sake of it here. Now, let me spell it right. 9. Okay. Now you noticed here when I ran it on April 1st, okay, the computer is completely locked up now. I can't do anything with the keyboard, the numlock key isn't going out, anything like that. And when I ran it on April 1st, it did some activity on the hard disk, but you also probably heard it try to read a floppy disk at the same time. What Christmas 1539 does, if an infected file gets run on April 1st, obviously, as you already noted, it did some disk access, tried to write to the floppy, or even check if one was there, and as I said, halted the computer. What it has done is, on the hard disk, it's written a trojan to the master boot record, which is going to format the disk, basically wipe the disk out when we restart the computer on this date. And with the floppy disk, it was doing the same thing. It was trying to write a trojan of it to a floppy disk, which of course if you put the floppy in another machine that's unaffected, now you're spreading Christmas 1539 onto that machine. So let's go ahead and power the machine off, because I can't use Control-Alt-Delete and power it back on, and see what we get. So power it off here, and power it on, and of course I have to apologize because we will not have that 60 Hertz nice refresh rate here. So it is going to be flickering. But if we boot up on this date with Christmas 1539's Trojan in the master boot record, we're going to see a different startup here. Now, we didn't see it. But as you can tell, there is no, let me turn this contrast down some because of the camera. So we can see, looking over here, there is no C prompt. It's only showing the A prompt. Bring this back up. Say fail. Of course, if we go to C, it's actually our ROM drive because the hard disk no longer exists. Now, what we were supposed to have seen at startup there is we were supposed to get a little message that said April, April. Basically, that's the printout from the Trojan that Christmas 1539 wrote into the master boot record. And then it would have halted the system there, and then, of course, all your stuff would be gone. We didn't see that here, but we still saw the effect of the Trojan in the MBR having wiped the disk out. Now we don't have our hard disk on the PS1 here anymore. We only have the floppy drive showing. So yeah, all your data would unfortunately be lost on April 1st if you had the Christmas 1539 virus on your system then. So that is basically it for Viral Rewind for this year. And again, this is it for the Christmas 1539, 600, and 1694 variants. So we will see everyone next year, next weekend for Viral Rewind, beginning in 2021.